Space. We're in it. And we are on our way back to Homeworld with a fresh shipment of purified silicon. Hello, Legion. This is Hadrian. Thank you for being here. Let's play some more Dyson Sphere Program in our Alpha Andromedae series. So we just did a close flyby past Alpha Andromedae at the end of the previous episode, and we're now paying the price for it because I'm having to consume so much energy just to keep my speed up, because that thing behind me, that beautiful glowing thing behind me, is basically trying to kill me. Again, you can't actually die. We've talked about this, but it's still scary when gravity grabs you, especially when it's a very powerful gravitational force, like a gas giant, a star, or a black hole. Where's the black hole? I bet I can spot it. It's kind of a purplish glow. Let's look around a bit. Where are you? Where are you? Because the black hole in this system is actually pretty close to us. Maybe I won't be able to spot it so easily. Yeah, I can't pick it out using just my bare eyes. But all right, let's go ahead and speed up a little bit more. Thankfully, we can now actually inject some speed into our movement now that we're farther away from the star. We passed close enough to actually hear the atmospheric churn of Alpha Andromedae. So, yeah, that was fun. We have a fresh shipment of high purity silicon. And actually, do I have what I need? I might have what I need to start doing this now. I do. Check that out. That actually consumed the silicon. But that's okay, because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to arrive at Alpha Andromedae 2. We're going to get back to our home planet. Notice that there were no clouds, by the way, on Alpha Andromedae 4, because the atmosphere wasn't thick enough. So it was a very, very different kind of world than this one. So we're going to get back here, and we are going to slow down, first of all. We can see our base on the horizon there. If you look at the bottom left side of the screen, you can tell we're approaching it. There it is. There's our base from orbit. And let's go ahead and very gradually, there we go. Almost smacked right into the refiners. But that's okay. I missed them. Nobody saw that. It's fine. All right, so that drop actually was not intentional, but that was just because we were totally out of energy. So first things first, now that we're back, let me grab everything from this container. Now that we're back, I can queue up some additional research options. I have the ability to smelt titanium now, and we're going to need titanium for a number of things, so I'm going to go ahead and tell the game to do that. We can smelt crystal, but that's a pretty expensive research. Let's see if there's other things that we can do first. Yeah, the processor. Ooh, that's a lot of electromagnetic matrices. Okay, here we go. Magnetic levitation technology. We're going to need those pretty soon. So that's going to give us access to the electromagnetic turbine. The next stage of universe exploration is going to require information matrices, which are the purple cubes. So those require much more advanced resources. Things are starting to ratchet up. Our production chain is going to get more intense very quickly. All right, I'm going to go ahead and queue up a speed improvement. So these researches will be running in the background during this episode. Mainly going to be focused on building up our solar ring. And then we might make another trip to Alpha Andromedae 4. Seems like that might be in the cards as well. Also, yeah, veins utilization. We need mining speed to be better. And then vertical construction. Okay, the queue is full at the moment. But let's go ahead and get started on this. We can only build 13 solar panels. So we didn't get that much silicon. But by the time we go back to make a second trip, we'll be in much better shape. All right, so what I'm going to do is... There we go, solar panel. Thank you for that. It's just a milestone screen. Not going to spend too much time on that. It's just a way to visually see your progress. Although I suppose... Hang on. So this is the statistics panel. If I pull up the milestone panel, you can kind of see how far I am through the various milestones of the game. I guess it is a good visual way to see, you know, we're about 10 of 42 steps. All of these other things, icons, are represented by things that we will achieve, either build for the first time or do for the first time later on in the series. Okay, so one thing you're going to see me do a lot is just do these little grids, these little spacings using a 2x2 grid of foundation. And speaking of that, I need to build a lot more of it if I'm going to do this properly, but we don't have a ton of solar panels, so it's okay. I will go ahead and grab a couple of sacks of steel. That's going to require those to completely empty out. Let's grab some stone brick as well. And because I've grabbed that, I can now make copious amounts of this. There we go. So, of course, one of the obvious advantages of having an entire ring of solar panels is that you're generating solar power at the same yield at all times of day. If the ring does not encompass the entire equator, then obviously you cannot do that. All right, so let's see what we need in order to build large amounts of solar panels. We're going to have to be a little bit careful with what I'm about to do, because I'm still building a lot. I'm replicating a lot in Icarus, and that was consuming energy. That was one of the things that was consuming energy when I was flying by the star as well. That was making it harder for me to do what I needed to do. But we need large amounts of copper ingots, large amounts of computer chips. And again, because we've gotten to this point, recall that just 7 episodes ago or so, imagine having to wait to build the number of computer chips that I just pulled willy-nilly out of a box. I just felt like it. I was like, okay, let me grab nearly 1,000 of those. And I just have them now. And I'm going to do the same with these. So now when I get back to Alpha Andromedae 4, we've also just finished the ability to smelt titanium. When I get back to Alpha Andromedae 4, what's going to happen, we're going to leave in just a moment, what's going to happen is I'm going to be able to build a ton of solar panels. And I'll probably try and get it done before I leave, or at least I'll get it done once I've gotten myself up to speed. And we don't have to pass by the star so closely and lose so much energy this time, because that would be obviously problematic. So it seems like we're okay on the energy front. Let me go ahead and grab a little bit more energetic graphite just to be safe. And I think I'm in good shape. It's time to make another trip. So for now, we are personally shuttling things back and forth. It looks like it might be on the dark side of us. That's fine. There we are. I'm going to speed up as much as I can here and then let the battery recharge. I am still building things in the replicator, so that's consuming energy, but it's okay. Before long, we will have access to some of those better fuel types that I mentioned. We technically already do. I think hydrogen... Let's take a look. Hydrogen as an element. Oh, no, I can't actually look at it here, can I? Oh, yes, I can. There we go. 9 megajoules with 100% fuel chamber generation. So, yeah, hydrogen, although I think it burns quite quickly. You need to make hydrogen fuel cells in order really to have large amounts of hydrogen. Notice, by the way, there's a lot of different ways to produce hydrogen. Those are the 4 different recipes that have hydrogen as an output. So far, you've seen just the first one. So you have the crude oil becoming refined oil and hydrogen. Then you have fire ice, which is a special resource type we'll be seeing more later in the game, becoming hydrogen and what are these called? I think that's graphene, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's graphene. I don't have it unlocked yet, so I can't actually look at it. But yeah, I can't unfortunately, I can't freeze the tooltip and point to that icon, but I can point to hydrogen right now. So, well, there might be something that... Hang on, let's look around. No, there's not. Okay. And then there's a technology called X-ray cracking that takes... Notice, by the way, that is the exact output of the refiner. So you have the one refined hydrogen, or the one refined fuel, and the hydrogen, and the two hydrogen. So you've got the one and the two, the same output that you have from refining crude oil. The refiner takes that back in. You have to use a second stage of refining. And then it spits out 3 hydrogen, and check that out. Energetic graphite. So remember when I started pointing out an episode or two ago that there were going to be a number of things pulling on our energetic graphite reserves that are going to start using that, and so we're going to need to make sure we have plenty of it. That's one of the ways that we will do so. Let's speed up a little bit more. All right, so now just for your viewing pleasure, I'm going to give you a crater landing so you can see what this is like, because I know you're curious after I mentioned it. So we are now at maximum sailing speed. Such a gorgeous game. All right, closing quickly. And crater. We have arrived. Let's find our resource production apparatus. It's going to be on the opposite side of the planet, probably. Oh, no, there it is. Gonna need to land in just a moment. Landing. There we go. That time I did not force the landing. I did that myself. It looks like... yeah, this is sunrise on Alpha Andromedae 4. Look how far away the sun is. It's crazy. Absolutely gorgeous game. And this is just one of many, many, many planet types they've added, and I'm sure they will have more by the time the game leaves early access. I'd be surprised if they didn't diversify a little bit more. Although I don't know that for sure. Who knows? So now we have a ton of silicon. I'm going to take advantage of it by producing 70 solar panels. Looks like I still have enough to do a few more. Still have enough for a few more. Oh, wait, no, I am out of... well, I can still build some. The difference is I'm now out of... see, I have copper ore, but I don't have copper ingots, so I'm having to make copper ingots in Icarus. You can see this. It's reflected in the setup here. So actually, I'm going to cancel those orders because the ingots are going to take too long to make. That's 80 ingots. One of the difficulties with getting this far into the production chain and then trying to make things yourself in Icarus's fabricator, in some cases you can do it, but the process of creating as much of a basic resource type like the copper ingots that goes into making the thing that you're trying to replicate in the suit often is just too much. All right, so what I want to do, I've got these queued up. I'm going to have, looks like close to, I'm going to have 90. I'll have 90 solar panels to build when I get back to Alpha Andromedae 2. Magnetic levitation technology, perfect. So now we have the ability to build the electromagnetic turbine. Typically speaking, I will also produce these off-planet and import them myself and eventually automate the importing so that they'll just get shipped back to Alpha Andromedae 1, or 2, rather, in this case. We're not at that stage yet, obviously. It's going to be really cool when we are. I look forward to it. But for now, we're more in a stage of going back and forth and getting things ourselves. But when you can arrange for this to be built on another planet, that's one of the reasons I chose Alpha Andromedae 4 as the first planet for us to visit, because this is a pretty good spread of resources. It doesn't have a ton of copper, which is unfortunate, but it has more copper than Alpha Andromedae 3 does. And because of that, this is the better one for me to start with. And I can set up a full production chain here. And another thing I can do, by the way, I can do a solar ring here too. The solar power is actually better than wind power here. And that's something worth keeping in mind. And speaking of that, while we're waiting... Oh, wait, let me not consume energy doing this. I want to let my energy build up as much as possible because we're going to be headed back to Alpha Andromedae 1 in just a moment, or Alpha Andromedae 2. Technically back to 1 because that's our parent body, but... Alright, so that's the equator we just passed. We'll go ahead and turn off the build grid so you can enjoy the graphics without that being overlaid on top. That's one thing I've definitely noticed. I don't pay as much attention when I'm playing on my own because I'm just playing. But in terms of being able to enjoy how the game looks and how pretty the graphics are and like the different kinds of atmospheric effects and all these things, I've spent a good amount of time in the series so far in build mode, and I've noticed that a little bit. So I'll try to stay out of build mode, especially when we're first arriving on new planets like this and you want to really appreciate the view. So for example, here we're looking at, I mean, just the shadows even on these rocks are so beyond cool. Hang on, let me go ahead and clear these manually. Oh, nice. We got some iron ore from that. Not that we really needed it, but... Alright, so we are approaching the South Pole. And I think I will eventually have a solar... I'll go ahead and put a wind plant there, too. I'll have a solar belt here, too. It'll need to be on the equator. I'll show you why. So if I put a solar panel here, notice the intensity is at 50. Oh, actually, that's pretty good. I wasn't expecting that. Because I think that's what it's going to be at the equator, too. So let's go back. I am going to use the grid this time because I'm trying to fly to the equator specifically. It's a fairly big planet, by the way, I'm noticing. Like, it's not a small planet. Oh, wait. Yeah, of course, I'm putting this on the dark side of the planet. Duh. Wow, Hadrian. Wow. Wow. Use your noggin. All right, here we go. Yeah. So, it doesn't have to be an equatorial belt, but the thing is, we'll get the most solar panels down on an equatorial belt. So that's what we're going to do. All right, still building solar panels. I think I can probably go ahead and launch. Let's go ahead and head back. It's going to take a lot of energy. It'll take a little bit longer to accelerate to full speed. Let me at least get around to where I can see the sun, so I don't have to put as much effort into flying around the planet. Because every little exertion of energy once we're in the air and once we're in space is going to count while we're still building things, and we still have 38 solar panels to build. I've got 53 in my inventory right now, though, which is a good step in the right direction. Notice that you can see the amount of time remaining until the sunrise, so we're about 30 seconds, and of course I'm running toward the sunrise. So there we go. Now where... There it is. No, there's 3. So I think... Oh, there it is. Okay, cool. Ooh, we're actually fairly... Let's take a look at the solar system. Okay, not quite. We're almost as close as we can get, but we need about 90 more degrees of movement on the orbital plane from our home planet. Okay, I'm going to speed up as much as possible here. It's going to consume a good amount of energy, but... All right, now I'll let the battery recharge and speed up again. But at least that's good. We don't even have to fly past the star or go around it. We can just fly straight to Alpha Andromedae 1 and 2. And yes, by the way, if I were to turn the music off right now, it would be completely quiet. No Star Wars sounds in space here. It's a very, very authentic and beautiful experience. It's probably the most satisfying and intuitively engaging form of spaceflight that I've ever experienced in a game. That might be pushing it slightly, but I'm having a hard time thinking right now of another game that does space flight in this way this well. I mean, it's a little bit different when you're thinking of something like Elite Dangerous or No Man's Sky, where you're in the cockpit and you're flying an attack craft of some kind. That's different. Like when you're just a character and you part of the game is for you to move in space. I haven't played a game that does it better than Dyson Sphere Program, to be completely honest. I just haven't. It's fantastic. You can see we're still producing solar panels. I'm going to keep our current speed, though. Actually seems like Alpha Andromedae 3... Oh yeah, it's very close to us right now. So we could overshoot our planet and just go visit Alpha Andromedae 3. Which, that might be nice to do in the next episode, just to see what it looks like. We haven't visited our other sister planet just yet. Just the fourth, the farthest one out. Research is going quite well. It's a speed upgrade that's currently being worked on, but we can see that it's chewing through those resources pretty quickly. We'll have to kind of take a look at things when we get back and make sure that things are still looking good. All right, we're going to do a proper atmospheric entry here. I'm going to use a close pass by the gas giant to slow us down. Oh, there we go. Nice. Oh, boy. And there's our first overshoot. See what happens? I don't have any energy. I hadn't slowed down enough. All right, I'm gonna slow down and then point Icarus. There we go. So I had to consume energy there just to slow down. That's what happens. Now imagine if you truly have nothing to put back into your fuel chamber and that happens. It's a little bit problematic. Overshooting again, because I just don't have any energy to control Icarus' flight right now. So there we go. A bit of a hard landing. We could have just cratered. That would have made things a lot easier. But I don't know if it's just the aviation aficionado in me. Like, that's one thing that I've done a lot of over the last couple of years while I've been away from YouTube, is I've spent a lot of time playing games that involve flight. And that's not something that I ever saw coming in my life. I did play some when I was younger, but it's never been a hobby or a passion of mine. But especially now, whether it's related to that or just proper space flight, it's research speed too slow. Okay, that's interesting. I'll have to figure out why that is. Regardless of why it's happening, I just have a pretty solid fascination with entering the atmosphere properly whenever I play this game. Can't describe it. That's just the way I think about it. It's more satisfying to actually fly in properly, because you can do it. Okay, so I can't remember if I went ahead. No, I have not yet upgraded the stackability of these. So it's saying that research speed is slow. I'm not sure why that is. Possibly just because, yeah, I would ideally be able to stack more of these in these towers, and I'll be able to do that soon. So I'm not going to worry about the research speed being slow at the moment. It's going fast enough for me. But let's take a look at our progress overall. Before we do that, I guess I'll go ahead and I do have a lot of foundation built, so let's go ahead and keep this going. I'm going to move towards the ocean here. I know I said that I would leave this planet relatively unmolested, and I will, but I do want to have this equatorial ring. It's very important just for the I'm not going to say mid-game. This is the mid to late early game that we're in right now. We're not in the mid-game yet, but you kind of are approaching the mid-game by the time you're doing your equatorial ring. If you choose to do equatorial rings, which you might not. Again, everyone has their own approach. But I always find that I'm kind of approaching the midpoint when I'm doing this. And I suppose we should just judge this way. 10 of 42, yeah, that's the late... That's the mid to late early game that we're in. When we're at 10 of 42. Alright, I'm just going to have the appropriate number of solar panels in place here, regardless of whether they're slightly out of place. Alright, good. Now we're slightly faster, movement speed-wise. I kind of hate it. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of hate what's happening right now, because I like to have a nice uniform ring, but at the same time, like, I want to have these functioning. And I don't want to destroy any of the stuff that I've built here. And I could, and it would be fine. Because again, Dyson Sphere Program doesn't penalize you for that. So it would just kind of, you know, the things that depend on those production buildings would wait for me to get everything going again, and then I could just plug all the resources back in once I cleaned up the mess, and everything would just keep going. Nothing would explode. It'd be fine. Notice that I can, when I have the grid set to 2x2 like this, I can literally center it around each intersection of grid lines. And that's generally what I do to make sure that I have enough groundwork or enough foundation to lay this. So again, I don't have to do this one by one. I can drag them like so. I haven't needed to do it too much because I've obviously had spots where I've needed to use soil pile and foundation to do this. Oh, didn't place that one quite right. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. Now I can definitely drag. Watch this. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll let the construction drones do a little bit more expeditious of a job. And again, because I haven't given any other orders since, I can just continue to click and drag and it will keep that spacing for me. Again, Dyson Sphere, they do a very good job with the engineering and programming of this game. It's very straightforward when it comes to intuitively building things, keeping blueprints for things, making the management of a game this complex easy and fun and approachable and not frustrating. It is... I will not be able to stop praising it. I'm just telling you right now. I'm not going to be able to stop myself from singing its praises because they deserve it. It's fantastically done. So with that, I do have some more silicon on me. I just need copper. So I can still build more solar panels with what I just brought back. But we are at the 29-minute mark for this episode or so, 28-minute and a half. So I will go ahead and stop this one here. In the next one, we will continue building this mostly uniform solar ring. And then we will be looking at what additional technologies we can upgrade, as well as potentially setting up a production apparatus on Alpha Andromedae 4 so that we can produce those electromagnetic turbines. We won't be able to have them sent autonomously yet, but that moment will come sooner than you might think. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this one, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to follow along. New episodes are coming out every day at noon U.S. Eastern Time. Comments are always welcome. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time.